Welcome to the second video on developing a successful brand name. I'm Martin Cerami. In the previous video, we defined 3 qualities your brand name should have. Let's get right into the process of generating ideas and turn them into words that you can work with and combine them, change them, translate them to other languages, personify them, and then try them out before making a final choice. Let's begin with this exercise. Write down 3 full sentences about your business. What your business does, what's the main feature of your product or service, what is special about your business. Once you have them written down, pick the words that resonate the most interesting, or most descriptive. For example, we install car audio and alarm systems. We perform same-day installations. All of our technicians are mobile electronics certified professionals. Okay? From there, we extract car audio, alarm, systems, same-day installation, certified professionals. Now, let's look for other ways to communicate the ideas of the extracted words. Instead of car, let's try automotive. Instead of audio, let's use acoustics. Instead of same-day installation, let's use fast, but in a sophisticated way. Perhaps we could use express. For certified professionals, let's try experts or masters. So, let's shuffle those a bit and voila! Express Auto Acoustics, a name that is descriptive of the brand. It tells customers what the business is about, which makes it easy to remember by association, makes it memorable. Remember the 3 qualities we discussed in the previous video? Also, Express Auto Acoustics sounds professional, so it has a proper tone. Is it unique? Well, it certainly has personality, but let's find out if it's unique or not. Now, here's an exercise that you have to do every time you come up with a potential brand name. Go to the United States Patents and Trademark Office website and run your brand name through their trademark search system. In our case, we're good to go. The name's available. Now, go to any domain registration website, like the ones listed below, and search for your brand name's domain. Guess what? ExpressAutoAcoustics.com is available. See how, with 2 relatively simple exercises in a short amount of time, we have come up with a potential brand name for a business, and it's up for grabs. Well, at least for now. Maybe someone will copy it after this video is uploaded, but anyways. Let's say that the name you want is not registered with the US Patents and Trademark Office, but the domain is not available even though there's no website using it. How could that be? Well, there are people out there who come up with possible business names and register their corresponding domains with the sole purpose of selling them, usually for thousands of dollars. What do you do then? Well, if you have a really great brand name that you absolutely must have, and you have the money, you can buy the desired domain. Or you can try to find an alternate spelling for your domain that does not affect the way it sounds. For example, for a domain like Express Auto Acoustics, one can try starting with the X instead of the E. It sounds the same, but now we have an alternate spelling that might be available for registration. Or we can substitute the Q in acoustics, the COU, with a Q and come up with an alternate spelling that makes the name even more interesting. Alternate spelling, also called sensational spelling, can add both uniqueness and memorability to a name. In fact, you can apply it not just to your domain, but to your brand name as well. So, as a third exercise, you can try alternate spelling for your brand name. Take a look at these well-known brands that use alternate spelling. As you can see, Alternate spelling is used in different industries, from financial services to retailers to technology. So don't be afraid to experiment. Just make sure that if you choose an alternate spelling for your brand name, it doesn't change the desired tone for your brand, and also that it has not been registered in the US Patents and Trademark Office. Now, a very important fact about registering brand names with the USPTO and using alternate spelling. You cannot register a brand name with alternate spelling with a similar sounding name has already been registered. You can do that for your domain, but not for your brand name. For example, you cannot register Coca-Cola or FedEx or Nike because they are what the USPTO considers phonetic equivalent to existing brands. So keep that in mind, and if you want to check out the USPTO's Trademark Registration Basic Facts Guide, click on the link below. Okay, let's go back to the keywords from the first exercise. Here's another cool thing you can try. As a fourth exercise, try personifying some of the key concepts like acoustics and express. Remember Godiva? Well, if you research who came up with the first audio recording and reproduction device, you'll find out that it was actually a French inventor whose name is way too long, so scratch that idea. What about the god of, or goddess of sound? Well, in Greek mythology, there is a nymph called Echo with a very cool story. And there's also the god of music, Apollo, and the god of speed, Hermes. So maybe you could try something like Apollo Audio Electronics or Hermes Audio Works. And guess what? They're both available, both online and in the USPTO. You can also try a symbol for your brand name, a concept that represents what your brand stands for. These require a lot more thought, but make for great brand names. Take Apple, for example. The company's original name was Apple Computer, and it was named so as an homage to Isaac Newton, one of the greatest scientists in history. Apple stood for innovation, for changing the world by turning the computer, originally used only by large companies, into a tool for everybody. Isaac Newton changed the world through his groundbreaking principles of physics. So, the Apple Computer Company was named after the legendary apple that inspired Isaac Newton to come up with his law of universal gravitation. Now, as you have seen, with these few exercises, and with much less effort than should actually be put into them, we have managed to come up with 3 different brand names for a business. Here's something else you can try. As a 5th exercise, have some of your keywords translated to a foreign language that adds character to your brand. You can try Latin for businesses related to legal services, architecture, research, or technology, for example. Or Spanish, Italian, or French for restaurants or food-related businesses, as long as there is a correlation, of course. Take Oggi's Pizza. Oggi is Italian for today, so the name means today's pizza. And while today's pizza might not sound extremely interesting, Oggi's does. Makes you wonder if Oggi is the name of the restaurant's Italian founder. Here's another one, La Petite Boulangerie, which means the little bakery in French. Again, nothing wrong with the little bakery. It sounds kinda cute. But La Petite Boulangerie sounds like a fancy pastry shop where you can expect to find finely crafted desserts and pay a higher price than at the average corner bakery. So, see how names can influence customers with preconceived ideas? That's why it's so important to have a defined concept for your business and find a name that enhances the concept. Fun fact about Oggi's Pizza and La Petite Boulangerie. The first was created by 2 brothers from New York, and the second by a guy from San Francisco whose father was an Italian baker, not French. Speaking of brothers and fathers, maybe you're considering using your last name for your business or your father's or grandmother's name. Well, ask yourself, would that add value to your brand? It might not. It depends. If your father was a well-known contractor and you're opening a construction equipment rental company, well, then it would make sense to use his name. If you're going to be making pastries based on your grandmother's special recipe, well, that could also work, as long as you make the story of the recipe and your grandmother's heritage a part of the brand through marketing. If you're getting into the fashion industry and you have a foreign-sounding last name, then it would be a good idea to use it for your brand, as it would make it sound exotic and interesting. It's not the same to name a boutique Lisa Caprelli's Studio as it would be to name it Lisa Jones. And if you were starting a solar panel array installation service under the name FE SunPower because your daughter's names are Felicity and Elizabeth, as much as you love them, don't show it by naming your business after them. Show it by being successful and providing them a good quality of life. Besides, FE sounds like iffy. You'd be shooting yourself in the foot. So, as I said in the last video, be objective, be cold, and be detached. Look at your brand from the eyes of an outsider. Imagine it in a real-world scenario. As a sign, as a package, as an advertisement. Does it look competitive? This is your sixth exercise. Check your leading competitors, their names, their logos, their brand image. Check out what has worked for them and what elements they share. Remember, some elements, like tone, are abstract, so
be mindful of your feelings.
Yeah. Now, the idea with this exercise is not to copy your competitors' names, but rather use them as a benchmark. Write down your brand name next to theirs and do an honest comparison. How does your brand name look next to theirs? How does it sound? Remember, being competitive doesn't mean that your brand name looks or sounds just like your competitors, but rather that it has the same strengths: memorability, proper tone, a good concept, all the necessary qualities for your brand name to resonate and establish itself solidly within the marketplace. Now, you can be competitive by following the established trends, but you can also be competitive by breaking with them and setting new trends. One way is safe, the other one is risky, and you know how it goes.
The greater the risk, the greater the reward.
Exactly, but there's still a risk. So if you choose to go in a new direction, think it through. Be ruthless with yourself and criticize your own idea from every possible angle. Don't just go with it because it's your idea and you love it. Prove to yourself that it is worthwhile. Remember, you won't have a second chance to make a first impression. Now, you got your keywords and created a name. Checked its availability, considered alternate spellings, personifications, translations, and converted to your competitors. What's next? Stop. Clear your mind. Let it rest for a day and then repeat the whole process from the beginning. Why? Because you're not going to go with your first option. You want to come up with at least 3 potential brand names to choose from before the final exercise. Test them. Once you have at least 3 brand names to choose from, type them on a Word or text document and print them. Then search for an accompanying image relevant to your business. For example, if your business is a bakery or pastry shop, look for an image of a cupcake or something similar. If your brand is about a sports drink, look for an image of an athlete in action. If your company does pet products, find an image of a dog or a cat. Then, print out that image. Cut out your 3 brand name candidates. Tape them to the image printout. Show it to a select group of relatives or close friends, preferably some who resemble your target customer, and gather their feedback. Don't tell them anything. Don't say, "Hey, what do you think of these options for a brand?" No. Just show them the page and ask them what they think of when they read each name. See if their reactions to each name match what you perceive and what you expect your customers to perceive. Based on that feedback, you can decide whether to modify any of the names or leave them as they are. You don't necessarily have to discard your preferred name, but you will know how much of an effort you will have to make to get people to associate your brand name with your product or service. I'll give you an example. Nike, named after the Greek goddess of victory. Nike is one of the most recognized brands in the world. We're not talking about Zeus or Apollo or Aphrodite or Poseidon. Nike is a less known deity. Still, the brand name has been marketed so strongly and effectively that the global consumer market has come to recognize it just by seeing its swoosh logo, a shape that has no relation to any known object or symbol, yet is one of the most recognizable in the world. So, I hope that all this information will help you create a winning brand name. There are still some things to go over that will optimize that brand name, but we'll do that in the next video. Until then, leave your comments below or your questions, and feel free to share this video or subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you on the next one. Thanks for watching. Welcome to the second video on developing a successful brand name. Why did I pronounce it like that shit? In the previous video, we defined 3 qualities. In the previous video. Welcome to the second video on a series developed. Voila! Express Auto Acoustics, a name that is descriptive of the brand.